What is up, guys? It's your voice of choice, no AI for this guy, Dark Neo. Welcome to episode 3 of Pop Culture Connection, where I break down 10 cool facts about your favorite films from the 80s and 90s that some of you may not have known. Today's PCC pick is going to be the 1992 erotic thriller, Basic Instinct. Let's get started. Back sometime in the late 1980s, Hungarian-American writer Joe Eszterhas wrote a screenplay with the story based from his experiences as a crime reporter in Cleveland, Ohio. He knew a cop that was involved in some fatal shootings and seemed to enjoy the thrill of it. Around that same time, Eszterhas himself had a one-night stand with a beautiful woman he met who was extremely manipulative. So much so that on that night after they had sex, the woman pulled out a gun and aimed it at Eszterhas, saying that one night stand seemed to be the only thing men wanted her for. Fortunately for him, he talked the woman out of pulling the trigger. After that event, he imagined what it would be like if a cop hooked up with a woman like this, only to find out that she was a killer. In 1990, with that inspiration, it took Eszterhas 13 days to write out the entire screenplay and gave it the title Love Hurts. Then, just as he was about to mail off the manuscript to his agent, he decided at the last second to change the title to Basic Instinct. When TriStar Pictures got word about Eszterhas and his screenplay, they made him a major offer, and the script was sold for $3 million. Filming for Basic Instinct began on April 5, 1991 in San Francisco, California, and wrapped on June 28th. For most Hollywood films, it's rare to film in the location that the actual story takes place in, but for this film, that wasn't an issue. Catherine Trammell's home was shot in Pacific Heights. Detective Nick Curran's apartment was located on Montgomery Street near the financial district, and Johnny Boz's nightclub scene was actually shot on a soundstage at Warner Hollywood Studios. The only scenes that split locations were the police department scenes. Some were shot in San Francisco, while others were shot in Burbank. Oscar-winning actor Michael Douglas, fresh off of filming Shining Through with Melanie Griffith, was chosen after many other actors had turned down the role of Detective Nick Curran. Because Douglas was one of the first few to be cast, he was also involved in the casting process before production began. In the search for his leading lady, 12 actresses turned down the role of Catherine Trammell, mainly because of the amount of nudity and sexual scenes required for the part. But then, enter Sharon Stone, a 33-year-old actress who at the time had been in only 5 movies, with 1990's Total Recall being her most memorable. After seeing her test screening for the Catherine Trammell part, director Paul Verhoeven had to convince Michael Douglas that Sharon was the right fit for the character, especially being that at the time, Sharon was not a well-known actress. Douglas felt the role should go to an actress that was more seasoned, like Demi Moore or Michelle Pfeiffer. He was also concerned that casting a virtual unknown, especially with a film this graphic in nature, would tarnish his career as well as the chosen actress. But at least he, along with another veteran actress, can recover from any backlash better than any new actress could. After the film's release in 1992, Sharon Stone did an interview for Playboy magazine in which she revealed that she had no problem with the sex scenes, but there was one scene that truly gave her nightmares: the Johnny Boz ice pick scene. She told Playboy that in order to get through that scene, she had her best friend lying down on the floor next to the bed off camera, telling her jokes, just so she can get her mind at ease, especially with it being a very horrific death scene. Sharon hated violence so much they actually had a paramedic on the set with an oxygen mask at the ready because she felt she was about to pass out. Would you believe that intense sex scene between Nick and Beth at her apartment was actually a rehearsal? Michael Douglas and actress Jean Triplehorn, who plays Dr. Beth Garner, were simply rehearsing their sex scenes on the set while it was being filmed just to make sure they got the raw and almost animalistic nature of the scene down pat. Little did they know that when director Paul Verhoeven watched the playback of that rehearsal footage, he loved it so much he decided to keep it as the final cut of the scene. Many films in the history of cinema have had at least one or two memorable scenes, but none more shocking and iconic than the Catherine Tramiel interrogation scene in Basic Instinct. Now, there's been some controversy between Sharon Stone and director Paul Verhoeven over this scene. Verhoeven told Sharon that the underwear she was wearing was reflecting light in the camera and that she needed to take them off. Once she reluctantly agreed and the scene was shot, according to Sharon, Verhoeven told her that her private parts would not be visible. But of course, as Sharon and the rest of the movie-going world saw in the final cut, we can see, as Sharon so eloquently puts it in her memoir, all the way to Nebraska. After being beyond furious at Verhoeven for lying to her, she calmed herself down and realized it made the movie better for her character. But it also became a thorn in her side as an actress because not only was everybody talking about that scene for many years after, but it even became a parody in films like 2018's Deadpool 2 and The Happy Time Murders. Even Sharon herself brought the character back when she appeared as a guest host on Saturday Night Live in that same year the film was released. Speaking of that iconic scene, Sharon Stone worked closely with costume designer Ellen Mirojnick to come up with that white dress Sharon wore. According to Sharon, she asked director Paul Verhoeven what he wanted the Catherine Tramiel character to wear for that scene. His response? "I don't care if you wear a turtleneck with your hair in a bun." To which Sharon replied, "Good, because that's what I was thinking." Mirojnick designed the dress so that it looked somewhat business sexy, but also giving Sharon the freedom to move her legs. The color white was chosen because, according to Sharon, it gave her character a very Hitchcockian vibe. The shocking final scene in the film, where Nick and Catherine are in bed having emotional-driven sex even after all that has happened in the story, leaves the audience wondering if Catherine Tramiel will eventually stay true to her artistic word as a best-selling author. Somebody has to die. When the camera pans down to reveal the infamous ice pick under the bed, that was the biggest holy shit Hitchcock moment in film of the 1990s. But it did leave many to theorize, okay, she doesn't kill him right then, but will she possibly kill him later? In fact, we're still left to wonder, even in that terrible 2006 sequel, Basic Instinct 2, when Catherine tells Dr. Michael Glass about how her and Nick used to drive to various murder scenes and then have sex. Some believe that she eventually got bored with Nick and did kill him. Others believe that Nick might still be alive. I say, use your own basic instinct and believe whatever you want to. While filming the movie in San Francisco, the script somehow got leaked, and advocates of the LGBTQ+ community protested against the film's portrayal of a bisexual serial killer. Screenwriter Joe Esterhaus held a meeting with representatives of the LGBTQ+ community to discuss changes they wanted to see. One of those proposed changes was they wanted the character of Detective Nick Curran to be played by a woman. Taking their views into consideration, Esterhaus had nearly a dozen pages of the script changed. But director Paul Verhoeven rejected the new changes, saying in a press statement, "Censorship by street action will not be tolerated." Paul Verhoeven was under major scrutiny with the MPAA, Motion Picture Association of America. His contract required the film to have an R rating, but because of the explicit nudity and the threat of violence in the finished film, the MPAA would only agree to grant him an NC-17 rating, which at the time stood for No Children Under 17 Admitted, which he was completely against. He knew having that NC-17 rating would limit theatrical releases of the film, and after getting added pressure from TriStar Pictures, Verhoeven reluctantly agreed to cut 40 seconds from the film to finally get the R rating he wanted. The film was released on March 20th, 1992, and in the end, Basic Instinct became the fourth highest grossing film of 1992, earning $352.9 million worldwide. That wraps up this episode of Pop Culture Connection. If you enjoyed what you saw today and want to see more, please show some love and click that like button down below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can always be in the know of when I drop new content like this. This has been your boy Dark Neo. Let your geek flag fly, and I'll see you next time.